Hello, my name is Badi Abdulwahid. In this lesson, we will discuss how to use Ansible to control remote nodes. You can find more information about Ansible on their website. Ansible is an IT automation tool which deploys software and configures systems on multiple servers using simply the SSH protocol. Ansible is Python-based, and it stores information about deployment and configuration in a YAML file called the Ansible Playbook. Tasks are defined in the playbook and allows you to have identical configurations and software across multiple machines in your infrastructure. In Ansible terminology, the controller node is the machine on which Ansible is being used to control managed nodes. You can have multiple managed nodes responding to a single controller node. One of the advantages of Ansible is that the user on the controller node does not need root access to the controller. Rather, control of the managed nodes is done via the SSH protocol. In order to follow along, you'll need to have some familiarity with using the shell, editing files, accessing your FutureSystems account, and using pip with Python. Let's get started. To start with, I open a terminal and log into my India account. Make sure you have the Python module loaded. At this point, I'm going to create a virtual environment specifically for this tutorial. Now we can install Ansible using pip. At this point, we need to launch some virtual machines. Go to the OpenStack web portal and log in. Your username is your FutureSystems portal ID, and your password is the value of the OS password in your user.cloudmesh/clouds/india/juno/openrc. Click Sign in to log in. Here you can see a bit of an overview of the resources that are in use. First, make sure you have selected the correct project. Now we go to Compute, Instances, and Launch Instance. Let's give it a name. And choose a larger flavor. This is mainly so that it's has a more powerful CPU and memory. And let's do 3 instances. We need to provide a key pair so that we can log in from India. So in this case, this is my key on India. And we double check the networking. That looks good. You don't need to do anything for post creation, and advanced option is good as it is. So we just hit launch. Forgot to specify the boot source. So choose an image, and in this case we're going to do Ubuntu 14.04. Now we see these new machines starting to come up. Now they have internal IP addresses. We'll need to make a note of these. So it's 10.232.120, 121, and 122. At this point, back on India, let's do a sanity check to make sure that we can SSH into the machine. By default, the image has the username Ubuntu available for us to log in as. This looks good, so we'll exit. So Ansible works by executing modules on an inventory of machines. Since many machines can be managed, this inventory is written to a file. Within this inventory file, groups of machines can be named arbitrarily, but these names, however, should have some meaning. For example, production or development or testing might be appropriate names. So let's create this inventory file to start with. Remember those IP addresses that we jotted down earlier? This is where they come into play. Start by creating an inventory.txt file. You can provide the name, like so. Now we write down the IP addresses. We need to override some of the default SSH settings, so we create an ansible.config with the following contents. These options modify the behavior of SSH when connecting to the managed nodes. We want to disable the strict host checking option, which will prevent SSH from requiring the node be present in your user.ssh/known hosts file. However, even if strict host checking is off, SSH will still update this file, so we need to override the file location using user known hosts file. In this case, we point to /dev null. Now let's try to execute a command on all our managed nodes. So we want to execute on all of them. The inventory file is inventory.txt. The user we are connecting as is Ubuntu. And we are using the SSH backend. The shell is the default module, so we'll need to pass it some arguments. Another thing we can do is run the ping module. In this case, we use M instead of -A. So what this did is the controller node sent a message to all the managed nodes, which then simply responded with the POM signal. At this point, we are ready to do something more complex. What we want to do is configure and install MongoDB on all our managed nodes. To do so, we will write an Ansible playbook. Playbooks are units of execution for Ansible that are written in the YAML data format. Instead of using manual commands as part of a shell script, you can use playbooks to configure your entire system. The YAML syntax is easy to read and express the data structure of certain Ansible functions. You write these units to install software, configure the settings, and starting the software, all this in the playbook. In this example, we will set up the MongoDB service on all our managed nodes. To do so, we need to do several things. We'll need to import the key for the MongoDB repository into the apt repository management system on all our nodes. We'll need to add the MongoDB repository, and then install MongoDB and then start. Let's get started. To start with, since many of our commands require root access on our managed nodes, we will first enable this. this is what the playbook looks like. We will be running on the Ansible test hosts as the remote user Ubuntu. And the task is to enable root login. So name is just the description of the task. And we'll be using the shell module. And the arguments to shell are to copy the authorized keys from the Ubuntu user to the root user's SSH directory. We can run the Ansible playbook like so. The command is Ansible Playbook. So the command is Ansible Playbook. We pass in the inventory file using the SSH backend, and then the path to the YAML playbook. So what happened is that Ansible queried the state of the machines and then executed the task, and we get some notification that that change has happened on all the machines. And then we get a summary of everything that happened. So we get the IP addresses under Play Recap, their current state, they're all okay. A single thing changed, and some other information. Let's take a look at the playbook to install and configure MongoDB. So what we see here is that on all the hosts, on all the Ansible test machines, running as the root user, we will execute this list of tasks. So the first task has the name of, we'll be importing the public key, and we use the apt key module, and these are the parameters. So the key server is this keyserver.ubuntu.com, the ID of the key, and we need to make sure that the state of the key is that it's present. The next task is to add the MongoDB repository. To do so, we use the apt repository module with the repository located here. So this is a repository that the MongoDB project provides. We ensure that the state of MongoDB is present on all our machines. The next task is to install MongoDB. We use the apt module to install the MongoDB org package, make sure that we are getting the latest version of the package, and we specify the update cache flag to always refresh the package list on our managed nodes. This is equivalent to doing apt-get update before doing apt-get install. And what we do afterwards is that once this package is set up, we will call the start MongoDB handler. So in our handler, we have the start MongoDB that is referenced earlier. And we use the service module to ensure that the MongoD service is started. So let's run this playbook now. It looks like at this point that one of the machines is having connectivity problems. Let's just try rerunning the playbook and see what happens. So this shows that Ansible is able to intelligently make changes only where it is required. Since we reran the playbook, Ansible contacted all the managed nodes and only installed MongoDB on the node that wasn't able to be connected to the last time around. As a sanity check, let us log into one of the machines and make sure that we can start Mongo. This looks good, so we are done. This is understandably just an introduction to using Ansible and Ansible Playbooks. Please find more information on their website. Thank you.